Good afternoon, everybody. Today, we have an advanced leader in real estate, Levi Wanner. Welcome to the show, Levi.
Hey, man, good to see you again. Thanks so much for having me on.
My pleasure. So Levi is a builder, but not just a small-time builder. He started small, but then he grew. And so now he's done not just 10, 20, but over 50 units at a time, helping people who migrate to the great Big Sky state of Montana. What's it like to work in Montana?
Yes. Well, I haven't worked anywhere else, so for me, it's home, so it's absolutely wonderful. And there's specific challenges, right? Weather is a big one. We get the good long winters, but Montana's great. Wholesome people, good down to earth people, good politics, good all of that kind of fun stuff. And when I'm talking to new potential clients, a lot of the subcontractors I went to high school with. So we really create this family feel and vibe that is really a lot of fun for me.
Oh, well, building long-term relationships in the construction and real estate field is something very valuable because it's so easy to, if you just ask each other, hey, who's good to pour this foundation? Who's a good painter? I need somebody, right? And if you can lean on one of your friends and say, well, right now we don't have enough projects, so I'll share my team, I'll share my resources, right? And then we all grow together in one big happy network.
Absolutely, and it goes to a great point is when the interest rates did kind of shoot up this year, a lot of builders in our area kind of shut down and got kind of spooked. But we wanted to make sure our subs were taken care of, so we kept building even if the margins were lower. We kept pushing real hard.
Yeah, I mean, it's just in the time of struggle, the valleys, right? Then when it's to rise up to the mountains, they're going to be there,
right,
loyal for that climb.
Absolutely, and that was the biggest thing to keep our good long-term subcontractors and vendors going.
Now that's important. I think a lot of times in new people who come into the business stick right to the spreadsheets, and the numbers are definitely important. Again, I'm an accounting grad who became a general contractor and real estate investor. And if you don't run your numbers right, you're going to go out of business. But if you treat people like garbage, if you're nickel and diming your vendors, you might need them one day. You might need them to open the supply house right? when it's closed.
Absolutely.
If you don't have that relationship, it's not going to happen.
For me, the relationship capital is by far the most important thing. We get a lot of stuff done where a lot of other people can't get it done because we have that relationship capital.
So you don't mind just a business taking somebody out to lunch or being mindful of what they, whether it be an experience, a gift, etc., and say, here's a token of gratitude. Thanks for being good at what you do.
We kind of take it a step further. We do appreciation parties every year, and like we've got a wine tasting coming up this week. That's a big hit. So then all of our contractors can bring their wives, and stuff like that. And then we do our big event is our Thanksgiving pie party. We give pies to everybody, and a lot of people will just keep that to their clients, but we invite all of our subcontractors and vendors to those parties as well. For that very reason, we want to keep those relationships tight.
Yeah, I mean, imagine like they're bringing, let's say you're giving out pumpkin pies or apple pies, and then they put that at their Thanksgiving table. They're keeping you top of mind, of course.
Absolutely, it is. Everything comes from a local baker. Yeah, it's a lot of fun, for sure.
No, and I mean, is this like you didn't start in real estate, right? We definitely have another thing in common. I was 14 years old and I was a janitor in a supermarket. I wasn't even supposed to work there, but my dad knew the manager and we did the HVAC service. So I would scrub toilets and meat rooms, and I was happy to do it. That was the weird thing about it. I'm like, wow, look what happened when I cleaned this place. It looks better.
A little instant gratification for sure.
Well, talk about the need to like be humble, right? And sometimes we don't start with the top job. We got to dig ditches. We got to clean toilets. We got to wake up ungodly hours, and I don't even know what the wind chill is over there, but I've been the first person at Home Depot at 6 waiting for the doors to open. But imagine how cold it is in your part.
Yeah,
How do you build that
Exactly.
resistance, tough deal with everything happens like weather-wise there?
Weather, you just gotta you get kind of used to it. The wind is really kind of a bummer, but we don't get a ton of it in the winter. I actually worked a year in Alaska, Fairbanks, Alaska, when I was 19. And that was cold. That was 66 below zero, and out tearing siding off of army housing. So um, that got a little chilly, but a lot of the guys here just, and the women, they power through it. They do a great job, and we all have families to take care of. And we got to, that grit to get out and get it. Montanans are a tough breed.
A lot of respect for that, because I think that it's the true West. I've visited many, if not all, the Western states, and everyone calls themselves the West, but it's unbelievable. Well, you see people who have ranches, and you see people who are builders, and you see people who are resourceful and connected to the earth, and maybe still believe in God, right? Like that. Those are the people you want to share a nice steak with.
Yeah.
And maybe some.
Yeah, those ranchers, they don't get to call in. Yeah, exactly, cigar. Those ranchers don't get to call in sick when it's 30 below zero. They got to still go feed their livestock and get out there and do all their stuff. So it creates a tougher human being for sure.
A lot of respect for not just the farmer, but the person who has to tend to their flock, right? Like a good shepherd, and make sure that they stay alive and stay away from predators and get the good care that they need. Just like you would take care of your team, right? Like you're not, if somebody is not quite skilled but has great values, are you willing to skill up somebody?
We are doing that right now. I hired a new project manager. He was never done it before, younger guy, and I really wanted a younger guy who had never done it because I didn't want to hear this is how we've always done it. This is how we're always going to do it. Because you and I know that there's always room for improvement in the processes, and the product always needs to get better. And then the customer service is top tier. So we wanted to train them in our core values and make sure that they were, set in the right core values to start. Then we can teach the processes from there. So I think getting young people, getting them started, especially in construction, there's a huge need for tradesmen in the construction business because it's all kind of gone out the window. Because like our parents probably always, our age, they preached going to college and become an accountant or something like that, where working with your hands is kind of a lost art. And I think it's going to be the next gold rush. I think that's, the new construction plumbers have more money than most people have ever seen. The HVAC workers, the tin workers, the electricians, those guys are going to be holding the bag here in the next decade because there's just not enough skilled labor.
I've always been a big fan of the trades. Grew up holding Dad's tool bag at 6, and I have a bachelor's degree, which we'll call the BS degree, and the trades in HVAC because, one day you could, bring comfort and cool to somebody's house, right? And in fact, it's just with a few simple tools and the ability to diagnose. I think it's a more problem-solving profession, right? And there's a lot of things to evaluate.
Absolutely.
Where a lot of the other professions, codes and regulations and measurements and project management and planning, where here is kind of like standing on your feet, ready, like the gladiator in the arena. And you could hit YouTube for expertise, but not if you're getting paid for it. So you put in, I'm serious. You put in your reps, you learn over time, and you're an apprentice, right? And you learn, and you carry those tools, and then you do the heavy work, and you do the cleanup. And sometimes, even as an HVAC person, you do the calls. You can't wait for the carpenter to come over because it might take a week, right? And then meanwhile, the job has to get done.
Oh, right.
Or if you have to drill through a wall and then run some.
Yeah, they are.
You got to do that yourself. So, how many new scale, like the people who are going to scale up and roll up their HVAC companies to sell them to private equity firms for billions, how many of those people will do that extra step? They won't.
Right. That's the key is, and they, you're right. All of the trades got to work together and keep each other profitable. A good point.
No, because technology changes. I mean, not to go too far off topic, but next year, a lot of the compressors have moved to this propane-based gas, and there's starting to be explosions. So,
That's a
it
problem.
is a problem, right? So you got to get ahead of that and then maybe stock up on, the refrigerant before it goes out of production, because those are the things that go into our houses, right? Because as much as we have to put heat on in the winter, you got to keep it cool in the summer when it does get hot. And I imagine it does heat up, because I've been to your state in June, enjoying beautiful Glacier Park and I would love to
Yeah.
live there. I said I just find the right place, and you are the right builder. Talk about.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. We get up to about 100 degrees here in Billings. So be 100, 102. So it gets
So
warm.
tell me about like just the migration patterns. Like, when did you start seeing that like a lot of people are moving to your state?
So I'm in Billings, Montana, and that we're right in the central, and we're the largest city in Montana. We've always had real good, steady growth. And we've got all the industry here in Billings. We've got the biggest hospitals. We've got 3 refineries close. We've got a mine 30 miles away. So like Billings has always had this real nice growth. And the real migration started in that Bozeman, Whitefish, Kalispell area. About the time of the pandemic, like the politics really drove the people moving from the coast into Montana, because they wanted to get away from the politics and people, right? People were scared of COVID and kind of stuff. So the really drove Bozeman is a changed place from when I grew up. It was just a small little fun college town, and now it's turned into, they call it Los Angeles now. There's a lot of out of staters, which is great for the growth of Montana. I mean, we like it. Just in the last 5 to 6 years, and then that show Yellowstone came out, and everybody thinks we're all these really cool ranchers. The problem is that show doesn't show any snow. It's never winter on that snow in that show. So that's an issue for some of those people moving here.
It sure is, because as beautiful as in June, I would think if you're going to move to Montana, visit during the winter before you decide to buy a house there.
Yeah, show up in February. Okay, come hang out when it's 20 below for a week.
Right, right. And the other thing would be is that when you're in these wild landscapes, is how to design homes to maximize for space, and then just what type of modern methods or efficiencies are you looking into in terms of not just managing costs because they're rising, but also deliver that beautiful home to the buyer.
Absolutely. And Montana, the big thing is so people design the home so people can enjoy the landscape. We have a ton of topography, so shooting grades and getting the house set right the first time, so you're not dealing with elevation changes that you're not ready for. And we're just now starting to get the new technology for like the solar and stuff like that, because we don't have something. We're so far north that they just weren't viable for to get the energy. But we're just now starting to get all of that. The techniques haven't changed. It's still the good way to do it is to start from scratch and design it perfect. Where you want the sun to come up in the morning and where you want it to set at night. It's just, again, it goes back to the good materials, the good trades, and doing it right from the foundation up.
Right. And delivering off schedule. When you promise to someone that you can move in on this date and they have their U-Haul waiting outside, you need to hand them the key on that day.
It does get a little tricky with the weather will shut you down for a while. So we create timelines that are reasonable that we can hit, because I don't want to overpromise. That's for sure. Because people are moving their families, and the moving from one house to another is always a tricky timeline.
Yeah, that you can imagine. And then, when do move into that new house, right? A lot of new times it's these communities, right? Like, this is the pattern. It's not, the old school, like homes that we have here in Levittown, like the little ticky-tacky boxes that they had from the GI Bill. Now you have these boxes, right? Your box is different. like you said, to have more window space, that they're not kind of, bland. Because as you drive, we all travel, and we see these places off the interstate, and you're like, oh, like it just popped up out of nowhere. And, because these buildings have to stay in the landscape for
Right.
100 or 200 years, right? And so, when you drive past, or you take your family out for a ride, and you say, oh, hey, that we did that. Like, is there a pride in that you left a beautiful mark on the landscape, that beautiful state?
Absolutely. It's kind of fun. It's fun. I like to drive my kids, through a neighborhood and be like, hey, we built that house. And we do have, homes that, those neighborhoods that all kind of look alike, because we do need affordable housing here. That's the problem throughout the nation, is affordable housing. So we do have those neighborhoods that do kind of all look alike, but we try to put our little stamp on it, and make it have some flair that screams us. And where we really make a difference is that customer service. We don't just build a house and give you a high five and give you the keys. Really try to stick with you, and it becomes a family. And the warranty process is always the toughest part of construction, because things do go wrong. But we try to make that as painless as possible for the homeowners, and that's really where we try to stand out.
That's beautiful. I mean, if you'd like to add to that, like what, give us a specific that someone bought a home and then needed the warranty.
Yeah, we do a lot of stuff. So we have a system where they put in their warranty claim with our office manager, and then we give them weekly updates of what's happening. Say a cabinet door warped or something like that, or concrete's always an issue in Montana. They just order a new cabinet door, and we tell them it's in process, and the constant communication is the key for that, because things take a little bit of time. We can't warranty concrete, but I sure seem to find myself tearing a bunch out and replacing it, just to go above and beyond for our clients. That's where we're going to make our $1 billion, Demetri, is coming up with a better product than concrete that cracks and moves and stuff like that.
I'm all about innovation that would help everybody. And I think, considering that we're in a powerful network like Arete, and we even have a contractor group within that group, not to get too much in the weeds, but, we could fund a lab. And there's enough people who use concrete in their work that we would easily chip in some money, crowdfund an invention that would help humanity, because that's the ethos of the spirit of this group, is to be
absolutely
be a gift to the world, and use our best talents and fill all the cups of our potential. And the fact that you go above and beyond and don't pass the buck, that's such an atypical attitude in real estate and construction. And I really love hearing that, because how I am. It's like, well, that's not my job. No, the job has to get done. Like, what are you going to do? Disappoint your client and blame the concrete person who you're still going to work with? Because they did a good job, they just didn't draw it.
That's one of our core values is taking care of our clients. And it's hard. You don't see a lot of builders that are over a decade old. A lot of them, people start and then they fall off, because building a home and selling a home is one thing, but then keeping those clients and retaining those clients is the hardest part. So that's where we try to stand out, because we're running a company. I'm not just trying to build one house and sell a house. We're building 40 to 50 houses a year, and we're in 3 different cities now. So having that good reputation and taking care of our clients is the only way to do it.
And I hope that lives on as an inspiration to our peers, right? Like, I think in a perfect world, it's like, hey, I'm beating you. It's okay. Here's where I am. You have to raise your game, or you're going to be out of business. It's competitive.
Right. And I think I come from I wasn't ever the greatest hammer thrower, right? Like, I was never the best construction worker. I come from more of a sales background, and so that customer service that's where that comes from, because I have a client now that we're about to build their 4th house in the last 12 years. So there is repeat clients in home ownership, because the average homeowner only stays in their house 6 years now. So it isn't just a one and done deal. It's not like you're just doing it one time for them. So keeping them happy, and then their family members, will come and build, and their network as well. So the networking to me is super important. I think coming from that sales background has really helped me there.
Well, I think, what I've and that's fantastic that you're serving people and their families, all right, in the best way possible, because you know a family member would only recommend anyone who's truly good, not kind of good. A friend would say, "I hope he works out for you," but a family member says, "You tell me if they don't do a good job for you."
Right, right. You have to use this guy is the key, right? Like that. Those are the recommendations we want.
Right, because if it doesn't work out, oh, you'll never hear the end. So,
Oh, absolutely not. Yeah, we always tell people my line is like, I want to be invited to the barbecues. Like, I'm not missing any meals over here. So
go ahead.
we want to remain friends and do good stuff with you. So
That's fantastic. So, what do you see your ventures and entities going in the next like 1 to 3 years?
yeah, so right now we're set solid in central Montana, and now we're just moving west. But we're starting in Bozeman, Montana. I've been in Helena, Montana for a little over a year and a half. We're going to continue to move west. East doesn't really appeal to me yet unless the market really takes off there. Not a ton of industry there to create a big market buzz. But our next big push will be buying land and getting into development. That'll be my next big venture. So that's just the growth of it. We're just going to continue to keep building. And the only reason we moved to different cities is because our sub base couldn't get enough. I could sell more houses in Billings. I couldn't get enough labor to keep building the volume that we wanted to build. So going to the next city is and creating more volume is where we made that pivot.
And I think as certain towns get crowded, as a builder, you look for new territory, right? A new emerging market.
Absolutely.
That
Yep.
no, and if you get to not just build these homes for homeowners, but perhaps own more rentals, collect, be a part of the future growth and perhaps renting to college students or families starting out or empty nesters who
Yep.
don't want to have the trouble of owning a home and need to call you for service because they don't want to do the work. And at times
Absolutely.
being that resource is fantastic because let's say in my own market, without naming names, there's certain companies that talk a good game, but if you need service, please don't call them.
Right.
Don't call them. Get somebody else to fix your toilet. Like don't call the management company because the person said be good, or maybe they won't communicate well to them and they won't have the right key. Like I did. I used to be the service worker. I'd pick up keys from the property manager.
Yeah.
I said, they give me this big stack of keys. I said, I just need one. Like it's in this pile. I'm like, okay,
Right.
it's gonna take me about an hour, and I'm like, I guess it'll be in here.
That's because they don't know which one the key it is either.
It wasn't in there. You don't. Like, I'm like, all right, fine. I'll play your game, and then I'll tell you it's this key and put a label on it. And, help. What you realize is, it's up to us to be better, right? Build our own, houses, build our own structures, our own companies, that facilitate the transfer of people who want to live in a beautiful state. I mean, nobody knows what Montana is like until you visit it. I can't explain it enough in words.
It's pretty fantastic.
Mythical. Like, I mean, imagine you've gone out to like Glacier Park, some of the other beautiful hiking trails and fishing areas, or, what do you do when you're not building homes and expanding to new territories?
Yeah, I might possibly be the worst Montanan on the planet. I don't hunt or fish. I'm not very outdoorsy. I golf, and I've got some children. I got boys, so we do boy sports stuff. And right now I'm doing all my classes and everything. I'm becoming a pilot.
All right.
So I'm getting my pilot's license. So yeah, golfing and flying are my hobbies. I could possibly be the worst Montanan ever because the hunting and fishing here is world class, and I've never got into it.
Well, again, it's always there. It's not like it's going away because
Oh, absolutely.
it's something that attracts people. And as someone who's hunted with my dad since 12, it's kind of like just an annual thing we do. And knowing that you harvest something and you eat it, and it's not wasted, and you appreciate where it came from, and the waters were clean, the ground's clean. You're not pouring chemicals in the water like they do in other places. you can enjoy that. And I mean, look, you take big swings and you hit. You're accurate. Like, you don't always get that hole in one, but boy, you're really close. And flying is fantastic because you get to go to new places. And because we're in the right networks, and I can connect you with the right mechanic. I can connect you with the right person. And a lot of times in this world, it's how much you know to become an expert at something, and then on top of that, who you know. We got to build the right who's in our network.
I agree with you. Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. And that's what our Taste Syndicate has been fantastic for is networking and getting to know great people like yourself and then becoming friends. And then we can all get together and, talk about the issues that we're having and, again, connecting each other with everybody else so we can solve bigger problems.
Yes, because I think if we work alone, we don't solve as many problems because we're limited in our capacity, as great as it may be. But then if we lean on the expertise of others, or even just humble ourselves to anyone and say, hey, how would you solve this? You'd be surprised with the answers that can come out.
Agreed.
What lessons would you like to share to anybody who's aspiring to get into either real estate sales, building their first home for themselves, or as a project home? What would you like to share?
Biggest thing, and I did just start with our mutual friend Mike Burns, and I started a free Facebook coaching class. The real deal is we want to help people get started in real estate, in developing, and owning investment properties, and in mortgage and everything else. My biggest lessons are just get started, figure it out. It's funny now that I'm getting my pilot's license, because I always use the build the airplane while you're in the air model, right? Like you can over research a project to death and still not know whether or not you should do it or not. My first year in business, I built 6 houses and not every one of them was profitable, but I learned the mistakes and I was able to learn from those and not make them again. And then till where it is a profitable, where if you just the procrastination will kill people in real estate, because if you're not out, if you're trying to be a wholesaler, if you're trying to, build and flip, if you're not writing deals every day, trying to get them done, you're just sitting there looking at numbers. You're never going to get a deal. You have to write the deals. You have to go find the land. You've got to talk to the lenders. You just got to dive face deep into it and run with it. And the other thing is the connections, like we just talked about. Find that good lender, find that good handyman, that good framer, that good foundation crew. Take them to lunch, buy them lunch. Those relationships will take you forever because they want you to be profitable, because that will make them profitable, and then everybody can make money together.
Right. I think that aspect of kind of the community, right? Because if you build communities, like that's something you want to be a part of. Right. It's not a one-off house in the middle of nowhere. Again, there's people for that too, who want that isolation and, and solitude. And I respect the place for that. But when you join a neighborhood and I go for a walk, you actually make new friends. You're part of that. You build communities that have amenities that are walkable, safe, and well planned out, so that people can build new friendships as they kind of converge in this new area. And I'm really happy.
Agreed. 100%.
I'm really happy that, like you said, you're forming a structure with another person who's a strong leader in real estate investment and sales, and putting your heads together, saying, what, together we can achieve more as a team. And that's just the acronym, but like you said, the action, not just the words. So I really respect.
Absolutely, and when we started it's free, and when we started it, we between I'm a real estate agent, he is as well. He owns a mortgage brokerage. I'm a builder. He does flips. I own rentals. So we real estate, residential, we have covered. So it's a pretty fun up and coming community that we're just trying to give back and get people any help that they want getting started.
Yeah, and so that helps people, because when all of us started, you're kind of out in the wilderness. You got to learn. You got to pay.
Absolutely. That's what's great about that's one of the That's one of the great things about social media. There's a bunch of downfalls, but being able to connect with people, because I'm in Montana, I couldn't go ask a ton of people about real estate investing because there's not a lot. Our population's still small, so having a group where you can go ask people and connect is important. And I'll send you the link that you can put on your podcast that if anybody wants to join, they can jump
No, I'd be
on.
happy to share in the show notes. And then you talk for a moment about your show. Started a show on your own. Talk to the audience about
Yeah.
your show, what it's like, and what type of guests you'd like to talk to.
Yeah, I started a YouTube channel and a podcast. It's called The Pursuit of Everything, because to me, it's not all about business. It's about health, which I've taken serious in the last couple of years. Because when I first started in business, I was eating fast food and not taking care of myself and all of that kind of fun stuff. Like we all get caught up in running a business and put on 50 pounds. So it's all I'm talking to people about their health, you know, making money, is a huge deal, wealth, and then their family and friendship. So to me, it's the pursuit of reaching your potential in everything in life, not just business, not just fitness, but of everything. We all want happiness and to grow together. So that's been a lot of fun. So we're doing podcasts with just our office like once a week, and then I'm bringing guests on. We're doing real estate professionals and a lot of like local vendors and people in the construction business. So we're just kicking that off. So that's a lot of fun as well.
It's fantastic because again, just as a fellow podcast host, like you're opening up friendships with new people,
Absolutely.
and then you get to know them and like ask those questions you always wanted to ask, but people are busy, and so now like on an episode, it's you and me. It's not the phone, it's not the meeting, it's not the distraction. It's fully being present, right?
Yeah,
And that's how people connect, right? It's being intent,
absolutely.
listening, and learning, and then applying. You will make mistakes, but as long as you're not too expecting to take them, and keep charging forward. Levi's living proof that if you keep at it, you'll grow. You'll build momentum, and more momentum, and then you expand and deepen your relationship. So I really want to thank you for your time today. Levi, please share how people can connect with you on social media or through your website.
Yeah, so I am on Facebook. It's just Levi Wanner, Wanner. And then on Instagram, it's Levi_Wanner, Wanner. Would love to connect with anybody and chat real estate or anything else you want to talk about. This is what we do, and creating those connections is what it's all about.
It truly is, and if it means anything to you, like I definitely noticed the growth in you, not just as a professional, but like I said, and not just in that you've slimmed down, but you're sharper, more intuitive, wise. I think all of us have learned to just kind of get better at our craft, and I respect the work that people put themselves. So I definitely respect the work you've put in to your team and your projects. So thank you so much for being on the Relief Podcast today.
Well, I appreciate you having me on, and I appreciate your friendship.
Oh, definitely. Grateful, brother. Thank you.